Hello and welcome back to Planner 101, Introduction to Decorative Planning. My name is Megan Backenthal. If you missed last week's introductory episode, I do encourage you to go back and watch it. In it, I discussed different formats for planners. I highlighted 3 categories of formats: the blank journal, horizontal, and vertical planners. I showed you some of the planners I currently use in these formats. It was by no means an exhaustive list of your options, but if I had tried to give you an exhaustive list of all of your planner options and all the planner brands, we'd still be holding that first class. There are so many options. So this week, we're actually going to start to discuss using the planner. I said last week was about form. So this week is truly about function. How you want to use your planner can help you determine what planner style or styles you need. So for this week, we're going to talk about planner scaffolding. Again, what I provide will not be an exhaustive list of your options, but will hopefully be enough to help you envision your planner journey or see how another planner style might be right for you. So keeping that in mind, let's start to look at some planners. The first scaffolding I want to discuss is the planner layout. Painting with a very broad brush, there are 3 categories for planner layouts. You have your monthly, your weekly, and your daily. So here is a monthly. This is the Laurel Denise that I showed you last week. I'll show you a month that doesn't have the bookmarks, I guess you'd say. And so you can see with a monthly spread, these are where I kind of write out on the specific days things that are happening in my life. Some days are busier than others. Some months are busier than others. I talk about flights, birthdays, all of those types of things. And then you could also do monthly spreads for things like content calendars. So this is my classic happy planner. This is the monthly. This is where I have written out everything that I'm going to do for largely my Patreon, though you will see my Planner 101 has come out. It is kind of pre-scheduled as I'm recording this. I'm getting excited for August. So this is where I would write those things as kind of a content calendar. Then weekly spreads. Here's a weekly option. This is my journal, and so you can see that I write just a little bit each day. You could also see a monthly where I write one thing I appreciate or I'm thankful for each day. These are just different ways that you can use a spread, a weekly spread. I also do weekly spreads, as I mentioned last week, in my Erin Condren, and these it does help if I put it the correct way. These I do a little different thing with each week. It really depends on how many classes I'm teaching. So you can see here I had 3, and then here I have 4, and then it grows so that here I have 5, and then it actually goes, there's 5 again, back down to 4. And so you can see, like with these weekly spreads, I just use it to amend and adapt to what I need it to be. And then of course, you can also use a weekly spread like I do in the Laurel Denise. These are very simple weekly spreads, but here these are the things I need or I want to get done. Show you just another week. And so you can see I just write things down. The highlighting may mean something. It's but these types of weeklies, they don't have a bunch of decoration on them. So it's just a very different way to think about a weekly spread. Last format or planner layout is, of course, the daily spread. Now, I don't have a daily planner, but I thought I would just show you a blank journal. This one is dot grid, and then clearly the idea is that you would just write one day here, and this would be one day, here would be the next day, and just each day would be a spread. The next scaffolding I want to discuss is what you want to document in your planner. I feel a little like a broken record right now, but there's no way for me to create a full list of what you may want to document. Any part of your life that you want to quantify in some way can be recorded. Therefore, I'm going to talk to you about 6 general categories of things you may want to put in your planner. All right, those 6 categories are date anchors. Date anchors are, of course, the big events that are coming up, your trips, your graduations, your weddings. Those are things that you're going to want to put on a planner, and maybe even creating a planner spread around that idea. So these are, of course, big things that are happening in my future or my past, depending on when you watch this video. But also that spread that I showed you about travel, this one represented the fact that my husband and I went on a trip that weekend. And so I just did the whole spread about that particular date. And so the date anchors can help you decide, decorative things, but they can also help you decide what format or what you need for your planner. And the next thing that you might want to put in a spread is what your priorities are this week. I do that in pretty much in my Laurel Denise. And that is what I write here. These are the big key priorities that I have to get done on any given day or in any given week. That is another way to think about what you want to put in your planner, those big priorities. Maybe you want to just focus on a to-do list or what tasks you need to get done in a week. That is great. Another thing you could do is just a notes section. You could do gratitude. So as I've mentioned, I actually use my monthlies in my big as a form of gratitude, but you could also just have a section of your planner specifically for gratitude, or an entire gratitude planner if you wanted. And then the last thing the last category of things you may want to be putting in your planner is a color key. So maybe you're creating a grid for all the things that you're tracking, and then each color would represent taking out the trash, doing your exercise, drinking your water, etc. I don't do a lot of color keys because it ends up being more about the colors than about the activity for me personally, but it is another way that you may find it helpful to plan. And so, of course, any planner format's going to allow you to document any event, but some formats are going to be more intuitive for you. If you only need date anchors, then most likely monthly spreads are going to be what is best for you. My father has a planner. Of course he does, because, he's my dad and I have some influence over him. But it is just monthlies. He doesn't need weeklies. He doesn't need dailies. He is retired. And so monthlies is what is best for him. If you need a place to write a lot of notes, or you want to do daily gratitude, maybe daily spreads are going to make the most sense for you. In this way, you can see how the form is going to help highlight the function. You don't What you don't want is the form to get in the way of the function that you want from your planning system. All right, next week we're going to talk about the tools that you can use to start to find your unique planning system. Let me know below if there are other general categories you think that I should talk about, or you think that are influencing your journaling practice. Let me know, of course, what planner you use, or what your struggle is. Maybe I can help you in that way. But yeah, comment below, and I'll talk to you next week about decorative planning tools. Bye.